Welcome to The Quad, CCB's sport podcast. I'm Simon Hill, Deputy Head at Christ College, and I'm delighted that you've joined us as we discuss all the latest sports news at the school. We'll cover global sporting issues and also spend time with invited guests, all of whom have specialisms or interest in the world of sport. This is The Quad.
Right, welcome everybody, and I'd just like to say welcome to the Quad of 2023. We're back after doing some brilliant episodes last year. Thanks for Ollie and Jack for joining us again. We've got some new people as well, which I'll introduce in a bit. But really just a reminder for everybody about what the Quad is about. It's our school podcast, and on that school podcast, we would like to really just do a bit of a check about what sport's been happening over the past few weeks. School updates, results, fixtures, and we like to just chat about sport and the things that have been going on in the sporting world. We're going to add some new bits into our pod this year. We're going to look at, instead of the top 10 athletes of all time, we're going to look at the top 10 most memorable sports moments, and we're going to add a bit of fun at the end about people who've recently had shockers in sport and people who are having a rocker in sport as well, and they're really performing well. So, just very quickly, I'm going to ask you to introduce yourselves, new podders, to the Quad for this year, please. So, can I start off on my right?
Reece Conker, Year 12 School House.
Nice, Reece. Sports?
Rugby, I used to play a bit of football, but obviously I've stepped away and putting all my effort into rugby now.
Nice.
So just
Good
mainly
stuff.
rugby, yeah.
Al, welcome back.
Yeah, well, a bit different now. This captain of the first 15 now,
Bro.
which is a real privilege. So I'm really happy to be in a
Good stuff.
position.
Hi, I'm Ben. I'm in Year 12 in Orchard House.
Sports, Ben?
I enjoy mainly playing hockey, but I also do try
You're our hockey
my
vibe,
best
yeah.
on the rugby pitch as well.
Brill. Try my best on the rugby pitch. I like that. You do a bit more than that.
Hi, I'm Dylan James. Similar to Ben, I'm Year 12 Orchard House. Play rugby as a scrum half, and I'm trying to start cross country back up on Thursday.
Brilliant. Looking forward to having you on board as well with that, Dill. Jack, welcome back.
Thank you, sir. So yeah, my name's Jack. My sport is athletics, specifically the 800 metres.
And Mark, well, I'll introduce you, Mark. Head boy.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
I'm
you go for it.
Mark Grodkin. I play mainly cricket. I am the captain of the first 11 this year, and also play a bit of football.
Fantastic. I'm looking forward to your insights as well, Mark. So thank you. Thanks to you all for joining us, and I hope we have a good couple of weeks. We're really privileged as well that Mr. Pearson, our guest for today, has given up some time to join us on the first Quad episode of 2023. Thank you so much for coming, Mr. Pearson. I would love to kick us off and get your insights, your sporting background or your sporting interests.
So I'd say as at school I was the kind of jack of all trades, kind of master of none. I was kind of in all the teams, but was never really a sporting superstar or anything really. So I played a lot of tennis, played a lot of rugby, hockey, bit of athletics, racket sports I could do. So I was a good sportsman, but almost from an early age I knew I was never going to be a professional. So
Favourite sport, if you had to pick one?
for enjoyment, rugby, because I preferred team sports to individual sports. But I'm really glad I learned how to play tennis as a boy, because it's a sport that I still enjoy now.
What position were you in rugby, sir?
I was fly half up to about 18. Played for my club and my county and my school. And then when I went to Loughborough, I couldn't get in as a 10, so I became a scrum half and played mainly scrum half from then on in.
So did you prefer playing scrum half or fly half?
I wish I'd converted to scrum half earlier, because I think I probably had more ability at it. But when I made that conversion, like everybody who converts position, I was really grumpy about it. I wanted to be a 10 really. But if someone had been brave enough to say, actually, you should have been a scrum half when I was about 14, that would have probably been the right thing for me, I suspect.
Brilliant. Thanks, Mr. Pearson. And you're going to be natural at this, I know you are. So jump in at any time throughout the pod, please, with your contributions, and we will we'll look forward to hearing a little bit more about that. Right, to one of our first or new parts of the pod, we're going to kind of open this up to a bit of an open forum, and our podders are going to come each week with a couple of mentions, things that they want to talk about, in the world of sport. So I'm going to open it up really to start off with. For me, my point of view, I think the Rugby World Cup is obviously massive at the moment for us. We're seeing a lot of it, and I love the scheduling. It's kind of like full of weekend, full of rugby, isn't it? It's like every channel every time you turn it on, it's always on. So yeah, Rugby World Cup, lads, what do we think? Are we enjoying it? What parts are you enjoying? Well,
Oh, it's been great, really. Just the opportunity to play on a Saturday and then for the whole rest of the day have rugby on the TV you can watch. Especially when Wales are playing in the evenings. It's really nice to get down to rugby.
have you had a standout match that you've enjoyed watching?
Well, it's got to be England, Australia, really. It was last night. It was
Wales,
really,
Australia?
Wales, Australia, not England, Australia, sorry. It was great to watch, yeah. I thought it was a really good performance from Wales, and especially Jack Morgan's 50-22.
He was amazing, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was really good. I quite liked watching last night. I never liked watching Wales. I love it, obviously, but I hate it secretly as well. And for the first time, I think, I sat there and after the first couple of minutes, just relaxed. I just could just tell, couldn't you? It was in the bag, it was done. And I never really got nervous. I always get nervous watching Wales. I don't know how you guys felt. Bill, what did you think of the game yesterday?
Oh, it was really good to watch from a Welsh perspective, seeing your national country do well on such a big stage as the World Cup.
Any standout player for you?
Oh, it's got to be Jack Morgan.
He was brilliant, wasn't he?
He was amazing.
He was absolutely
He
brilliant.
could play any position, don't you think?
Yeah.
He kicks like a 10. He could play anywhere and be brilliant. I was amazed by what he did.
He's brilliant, wasn't he? Lads, anyone else enjoying the rugby? Any kind of Ben?
I think it's just really exciting to to see all these emerging countries, come onto the big stage and perform with the top countries at the minute. It's great to see, the likes of Uruguay, who was it? Uruguay and Portugal had a great game as well. Yeah, it's just really good to see them competing and to give, and just to throw us off a bit.
It almost opens up a bit of a debate though as well about kind of how the second tier nations that they call them, how can World Rugby start to get their act together and bring these on a little bit more? We're seeing Fiji, who are absolutely on fire at the moment, and they've had that little opportunity. They've got their team in the Super 15, 14s now. They've got a team in the kind of Southern Hemisphere League that's based out of New Zealand, but it is for an Islanders kind of team, and that little opportunity has really kind of started that for them. Mark?
No, I think watching these new countries play rugby is from the perspective of a non-rugby fan is it's quite interesting. I think they play a more exciting style of rugby, where it's sort of more interesting to watch. I think I was watching the Georgia Portugal game, and it was quite a good spectacle.
It's that kind of like not so structured and not so scripted, is it? Whereas it's more of a win at all costs at the big top tier nations. They are playing to the script, and any slight mistake and you could lose it. But I guess they're not playing to a script, are they? They're playing to entertain. They don't necessarily have that level of kind of tactical nous or knowledge to kind of be able to deploy it, or the skill level. So they're probably just chucking it around a bit and having a bit
More
more fun.
improvised, more exciting.
Definitely. Jack?
Dark horse, anyone? And these smaller nations, anyone have a specific country they think have got a good shot at?
Fiji.
Oh, it's
It's got Fiji.
Maybe
Yeah.
Fiji.
They're just so exciting to watch, aren't they? They've always been known for their just the sheer how exciting it is to watch them. But yeah, they've been tearing it up.
They're outrageous. They've been brilliant, and I love the stat that Wales played. Wales played Fiji obviously in their first game, and prepping a normal Six Nations game, you would train, and they'd expect the team to make an average of maybe 150 to 160, 70 tackles, and that's what you would prep for. That's what kind of the team. So you can imagine that Warren Gatlin's not kind of training them to make 160 tackles. He's probably going, do you know what? Best case or worst case now, we're going to have to make 200 tackles. So that's what we're going to train for. They had to make, on average, 250 tackles throughout that game against Fiji. You can just tell what type of game that was. You can tell what a massive defensive effort that must have been. And those boys would have come off that field absolutely aching. You know?
Big strong boys as well, aren't they? This Fiji?
Massive,
Yeah,
absolutely
huge.
massive. Brilliant. Right, I'm going to open up to Mark actually. And Mark, thanks for joining us on the quad. And I'm really looking forward to your insights in cricket. And give us a bit of a summary of what's been going on in the world of cricket.
So it's been a big summer. It started off with the Ashes and the 100. The 100 obviously is a very new competition, and this year I believe that I think the Manchester Originals won it.
Yeah.
first time for them.
Mm-hmm.
And Harry Brook was probably for me the highlight performer of the summer. So obviously the ODI World Cup squad came out at the back end of the summer, and Harry Brook wasn't included because of Ben Stokes' return from retirement. And immediately, the first 100 game after that squad was released, Harry Brook makes a century in the 100, and I think it's only the second or third century ever in the 100.
That's a way to tell him, isn't it?
Extremely.
That's a way to
impressive.
say, actually,
Just come
just
back.
think about me.
Yeah. Putting himself back in the selectors' minds. And I think he has managed to find his way
Yeah, he
back
has.
into the team.
He's back in.
And then obviously the Ashes. The Ashes was a very interesting series, going from one that England should have won to one that they shouldn't have won to one that they should have won. And it almost was defined in the first test with that declaration from Ben Stokes, where they left just before getting to 400, I believe it was, or 500.
Yeah.
And it cost them the game, I have to say. It cost them that first game. And then they lost the second test just from momentum and losing it. And then the weather kicked in and ended up it being a draw, and Australia retained the Ashes.
It's been a crazy. And then
Very
obviously the ODIs have just finished. There's been a few one-day internationals as well.
Yeah, I think so. Currently there's an ODI series ongoing with Ireland, and we are halfway through that. There's one left, and it's sort of the second tier squad, let's say, if that exists with England. And Sam Hain with a particularly impressive performance of 89 on the weekend, and Phil Salt opening with can't quite remember his name.
Yeah, that's all prepping for the World Cup, which is just around the corner, isn't it? So we'll all be very excited to watch that. Thanks, Mark. That's brilliant.
Will Jacks, that's it.
Well done.
93.
Good memory. And anyone in football? Got to be a few football fans in here. Yeah. Anyone in football want to talk football over the weekend, Jack?
Well, we saw the return of the Champions League.
Yeah.
I know Ben and I, avid Arsenal fans. It was nice to see Arsenal.
I think you're the only two in the school mind, aren't you?
Probably.
There's plenty of
There's
us.
definitely not many more of you.
Back in the Champions League after all those years. So
6 years it's been.
6 years, 6 long years.
6 years.
It was fantastic to see the boys back. Yeah, I enjoyed that one.
Good. Yeah.
Stellar performance.
Good win as well.
Saka.
Yeah. I think the Champions League's come back, hasn't it? And there's been some great results with that.
Man United back in the Champions League.
Yes,
as well.
Man United are back in the Champions League.
Got slightly humiliated by Bayern Munich. Obviously a club in extreme controversy at the moment.
Are we saying turmoil? Are we going turmoil?
Turmoil.
Are we going that
I
bad?
think- And Ten Hag sort of stirring the pots with the exclusion of Jadon Sancho and the inclusion of Evans, the veteran centre back.
Yeah.
A very, very, very questionable move, but it seems to have paid off with the victory against Burnley.
Yeah, I think building on your point, he was outstanding against Burnley. He had disallowed goal, which is a bit controversial, obviously, and he had that beautiful assist for Bruno's volley, which was just class.
How old is he? 36.
So yeah,
There's hope.
I think it was such a good act of sportsmanship for Bruno Fernandes to give his man of the match award to Johnny Evans at the end of the game. Just kind of shows, the true value of some of those players in that squad.
class goal from him as well. Unbelievable volley.
Really good.
And the fact that they value each other that much,
Yeah, it shows there's more probably team. They're more tight knit than you may think.
Love that. Thanks, Ben. Right. So, great. So that's going to kind of be a regular feature. Ben, I'm just going to throw it back to you actually and talk to us a bit about hockey.
Yes.
Cardiff Met.
At the minute, Cardiff Met Hockey are thriving in their men's teams. Their first team has just been promoted to the Premier League of England Hockey, which is a massive, massive move for not only a club in the country, but a Welsh club, first ones to ever do it, and excitingly, the first ones to win a game against Reading on Saturday. So it's all up for Cardiff Met Hockey at the minute, and with their loss against Southgate last week, a really, really thrilling encounter. It was, the scoreline didn't quite reflect it, was 4-1, Southgate are extremely strong. But against Reading, the boys are showing their own, and they're showing why Welsh hockey does need
And
to
what's
be
their
respected.
chances, Ben? What are we saying? Are they there to stay? Are they going to give it a good go?
I think they're there to stay.
Yeah.
They're certainly the no one expects anything of a Cardiff Met Hockey team. They all expect all the England boys to do the work, but
Yeah.
I think they're going to be the dark horse of
It's
this.
good as well because it's a long time coming in some respects.
Oh, definitely.
Welsh hockey needs to be put on the map, and and
Definitely.
if we can do that through the club hockey, then brilliant. Hopefully, it raises the profile, and that's what it's all about, isn't it? Raising that profile, and getting more
Hopefully get
people
more
playing.
youngsters involved. Then all of a sudden we've got a good thriving network of
Absolutely.
players ready to come through.
Excellent, that's great. So that's going to kind of be a regular standing for us every week, talking about sports, what's been going on, any mentions that you guys want to drop in. If you've got anyone you think's been really working hard around school in their training sessions, anyone down in Allway, all the way through to the upper sixth. So this is a great chance for you to put some mentions in for people and do some good name dropping. Okay, regular section on the pod was our roundup and our news roundup of all the fixtures that have been happening, and we've had lots. It's been such a busy start to the term, really, really busy. In fact, there's been lots of fixtures going on all the way through from Allway up until to sixth form. So I'm just going to kind of go through very quickly the hockey results. I might then throw over to you all and talk a little bit about the Sedbergh pre-season tour as well, because obviously the girls and boys both enjoyed that great trip. So yeah, the season for the girls in hockey started off with the trip up to Sedbergh for pre-season. It was a great competitive match, really good experience up there, and the weather was absolutely beautiful. I think everyone had a great time. They split them into kind of, as a pre-season match would be, three kind of equal kind of quarters, 4 quarters, sorry. And yeah, that was a brilliant trip. Then they came back and they had a game against the Old Braconians, and they just lost that one 2-1. And then again, a couple of narrow losses as well against Cheltenham Ladies and then Cheltenham College. They had a friendly against Llandovery this Wednesday just gone, and they're always close games with Llandovery. They've been getting closer and closer, so they lost that one 2-1. And then they had a good game on Saturday with Brecon Hockey. Really kind of young team for us that was put out there to try and really boost that experience, and they lost that one 4-1. But it's been a really busy start to the year for the girls' first 11 and the second team as well. I've got a bit of a story about the second team. I'm quite proud actually. I was over there training on Friday, or 2 weeks Friday ago with them, and we were working on short corners, and then they went over to Cheltenham Ladies and they won their game 1-0 off a short corner. I'm definitely taking the credit for that. So the second's had quite a few games as well. Yes.
Yeah, so I got the chance to see the first Llandovery game, the friendly against Llandovery. I thought the girls started off very well. I thought they played very energetically, but I thought that Llandovery unfortunately capitalised on 2 key moments. I think by half-time, arguably, Christchurch were the better team, but obviously 2 key defining moments. However, after the half-time break, the girls were sort of re-energised by the goal they scored, and unfortunately didn't have quite enough to get over the line.
I spoke to Miss Hardman, and she said that, you know, if we could have converted half the amount of shots that they had, or pressure that we had in there, then, so really she wasn't too concerned. You know, she said, those on another day, 3 of those shots go in. Ben?
I don't think there's any concern to be had in the girls' first 11. I think they're relentless. They work so hard on and off the ball. After watching a couple of their games, they work hard for each other. They all enjoy playing hockey together. What more can you ask for?
Yeah, and the results will come.
Yeah,
absolutely. That's great. Thanks, lads. Just going back through them very quickly. So the under 15s and under 14s have had quite a few games. A draw against Brecon High. Then they had a victory against Crickhow. And then the under 14s, they lost to Cheltenham Lady College as well. And lastly, I'm going to throw it over to Ol now for some rugby results. Ol, how have the rugby results gone this term so far?
It's been a bit of a mixed start, to be honest. We've had a few unlucky performances where I think the result didn't really reflect how the game went, especially with the first, because we've obviously gone up a league. Now we're playing a lot harder opposition than we were last year. So we've gone into like the top tier of the Daily Mail Trophy, instead of in like the middle tiers as we were last year. So 2 weeks ago now we played Sir Thomas Richards at home, where we unfortunately lost 29-7. I think the heat definitely got the best of us that day, because I think it got up to something like 27 degrees.
Yeah, it was very hot.
Around here, but yeah, it was just an unfortunate performance. I think there was a lot that went wrong, but there's a lot that we can definitely work on and put right.
I think that's happened though, hasn't it? I think you'll talk a little bit about the other fixtures, but since then you've put a lot right. It's fair to say. It's probably a baptism of fire, really. A really tough school. Thomas Rich, 1,300 boys. All boys school, grammar school in Gloucester. So if you look at their numbers, they've got a lot more boys to pick from than us. But to give a good account of ourselves there, 29-7, that was a good, not a good start, but one to kind of really kind of work on.
Then a few days ago we travelled down to Millfield and played their team, and unfortunately then lost that again 26-5. But I really strongly believe that scoreline doesn't reflect the performance. I think a lot of their scores were just silly little errors from us where we definitely piggybacked them down the pitch from a few of our disciplinary issues. But I think that was a really tough score.
Errors then that can be put right though.
Yeah,
you're not looking at structural, fundamental, tactical changes.
Yeah, I think give a few days. I think we should be putting them right and hopefully getting back on the score sheet.
Good. And big game this Wednesday.
Yeah,
so
massive game.
That's the one to focus on, isn't it?
Yeah, so we've been promoted up a league now into the Welsh Colleges League, which is a lot more publicised than the league we were in before, which just had like high schools in Wales. So yeah, this is like the top tier Welsh league. But we play Gower College away now on Wednesday, so boys are all really looking forward to that.
All eyes on that then.
Yeah.
How have the seconds got on?
Again, mixed bag again, to be honest. Sir Thomas Richards came down to us and
that was a tricky game.
Yeah,
that was a tough game.
That was a very tough game for us.
As you said, we've said that already. A big, strong kind of sixth form there.
Yeah.
So they added some really strength and depth. And then we had a touring team from Argentina, didn't we?
Yeah, that was a good game. That was a really good opportunity for some of the boys to step up and play, because I think it was a mixed bag between first and seconds, which we won 22-21. It was a very intense game towards the end. I think the Argentinian team were looking good. They were looking strong, and we managed to just keep them at bay.
Good stuff. Outstanding refereeing, I think, that on that day as well. There's a brilliant ref.
Oh yeah.
Reece, what was my reffing like?
It's good. It's probably the best refereeing I've seen.
Well, best you had this season anyway.
Thanks, Reece. What about that try, however?
No comments.
We'll leave that one there. We'll leave that there.
I've heard all about this.
Yeah, brilliant. Right, okay, let's go quickly through then. End of 16s. They've had two good games actually. They won against Brecon High, and they went to Millfield on Saturday, and they came back brilliantly in the second half. I think they scored 4 tries on the bounce to draw 33-all, which was great. Then the under 15s, they've had 4 fixtures. Thomas Rich was a tough game, as we've mentioned. 3 fixtures. Gwynedd, they lost a tight match to Gwynedd, and Millfield again, they lost 45-38, but all very, very good competitive matches. I think that probably concludes the roundup. Oh no, we've got some other other quick fixtures to say about the under 14s and 13s, and a very quick mention about the guys down in Norway, which I'll talk about in a minute. Under 14s, they again lost to Thomas Rich. But then they won against Brecon High, which was a great match. And then the under 12s and under 13s, so our Allway guys, they've done really, really well. And a particular shout out for me is to the under 12s. They're coming together as a lovely little team. They've had 2 draws in their 2 first fixtures. One against St John's on the Hill, Dean Close, which is a prep school, who will have all been together all the way through their prep school. So by the time they get to year 7 and 8, that's their kind of senior rugby for them. So that was their really tried and tested team, and our boys really put a good effort in against those. And the Downs Malvern came over on Saturday, and they worked really hard and drew that game as well. So they're my kind of team of the week, if you like. They've been doing brilliant stuff down there. So that kind of concludes the fixtures roundup, and that'll be again a feature every single week, and we'll kind of review all the fixtures that happened the week before. Brilliant. So what's coming up this week then? Reece, we got a busy week on Wednesday?
Yeah, so the girls hockey having a tournament up in South Powys, and that's for the under 16s. The boys' first team have their first college game against Gower College. That's away down in Lacha Rugby Club, I think.
Yep.
Under 15s and under 14s girls hockey have a game against Loughton. That's away. Boys rugby under 15s, under 14s are playing Ysgol Calon Cymru, and that's up in Builth Wells. And again, under 11s boys rugby against Hereford Cathedral, that's home. And under 13s, under 12s girls hockey are playing Bishopston at home.
Brilliant. The standout match there for me is the under 11 Hereford Cathedral School. Massive game for the little under 11s down there. We wish them all the best. Saturday, lads, how are we looking for Saturday?
Yeah, so we start Saturday with a girls' hockey second 11 fixture. This is Hereford Cathedral School away. So it's going to be a really good competition.
Big block then, isn't it, against these guys?
Yeah, there's an under-13s, an under-13s B side and an under-12 side travelling down with them. And also the first team, so obviously the first team will catch everyone's eye, but I don't think the other games should go unnoticed because there'll still be fierce competition in that.
Great. Dill, how are we looking for Saturday for the rugby? Where are we off?
I think it's a big weekend for the boys with the rugby. We've got the first 15 and the under-16s and under-15s playing Clifton College away, which is obviously speaks for itself.
Yeah, be a big game, that one. Good stuff. And then we've got some hockey, haven't we? Hereford Cathedral School for the under-15s and 14s. So another really busy week of sport to look forward to. Okay. Right, to bring to a new section of the pod, and as I said earlier, I'm going to reintroduce Mr. Pearson to the group, and really just to talk about a topic. And each week we'll have a topic that we're going to kind of pick. And this week's topic is sports in education and the impact that sport can have on your education academically, but then also the impact it has kind of around school as well in your free time and what you choose to do afterwards. So that's really our topic for today. I'm looking forward to hearing Mr. Pearson's answers. I know you've got some questions for him. So that's enough from me, and I'm going to throw it out to Ben to kick us off, please.
So, sir, how do you believe that sports play a crucial role in shaping the character and values of our students here at Christ College Brecon?
Yeah, you hear me saying all the time about the importance of the second curriculum, of which sport's a massive bit. I think the role of a school, almost by definition, to get out the best of every pupil. Now, some will do that in a classroom, but for many they won't. And their characters form and they're developed beyond the classroom. Sport is a brilliant environment in which for people to learn more about themselves, to learn about people, to learn how to lead. And I'm not bothered if anybody goes on to be a professional athlete or not. That's not why I'm not committed to sport. I just think playing sport, especially team sport, really prepares you for life as well as anything. And certainly when I reflect on my own life and my career, some of the skills or qualities I've developed along the way, sport had a massive part in that. Probably more than what I learned in my A-levels, if I'm honest with you. It had a huge part in how I developed. So for me, it's a vital bit for those that are sporty. But I also recognise that not everyone is, and for other people it'll be music, or it'll be drama, or it'll be adventure. I don't care, as long as everybody finds something where they can really get their teeth into.
Thanks, sir.
Yeah, I've got a question for you, sir. In a world where competition can sometimes become intense, how important do you think good sportsmanship, teamwork and respect for opponents is?
Yeah, I don't think you'd be surprised to know that I think that matters a lot. I certainly, the sports that I respect the most are ones where there is a real discipline about them, that there's respect for the law, there's respect for the umpire or the referee. It's one of the reasons why I think rugby is a very special sport. It's one of the reasons why I think cricket is a very special sport. Of course, we all want to win, but I always feel almost stepping away from sport. You know, when the measure of the real quality of a person is how they behave when things aren't going well. So if I apply that to sport, how do you behave when you're not winning? Are you still, supportive of your teammates? Are you still uphold the rules and respectful to the referee or umpire? If the answer is yes, then I think you're an impressive individual. If it all goes to rack and ruin because you're losing, well, that isn't so impressive. They're not the kind of people that I think do so well in later life. So yeah, I think it's very, very impressive when you see it going well. And I'll give you a very small example that I saw very recently. I went down and watched the boys play down at Millfield. I used to work at Millfield, so it's a fixture that I'm always interested in. They didn't stop battling. I agree with Ollie's assessment from earlier. It was a bit of a cruel scoreline, really. It was a really tight game. You just didn't get the rub of the green. And yet I got sent a picture after the game of the changing rooms from the head of sport down there that I know, and they were immaculate. And he says it's the first team in 3 years that's left the changing rooms like that. And that seems like a small, trivial point. That was hugely impressive to the director of sport there, who's an ex-professional rugby player, has played for England. He said, that he left thinking Christ College is a quality school full of quality people, irrespective of the scoreline. And that mattered to me. That was a very, very nice text for me to receive.
Thank you.
Yeah, so just a question from me. So, as a headmaster of Christ Cole, you have quite a unique perspective on the overall impact of sports on our school community. So, is there any chance you could share your thoughts on how sports can bring together, obviously, the students, parents, and faculty, fostering a sense of belonging and pride in our school?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it does. I think when the school does well at sport and competes, it builds kind of, to use the rugby phrase, pride in the jersey, and I think that builds kind of self-esteem and confidence for the whole school. And I did notice that when some of our sports teams did well, whether a child was into that sport or not, they just walked a little bit taller when they walked around school. And I think these things matter. But also, I think, for the moments that I also love to see, though, it's not just about winning. One of the things that I was very, very proud of our first team last year, that were a very successful team, but they were often seen cheering on the Allway boys after training. And it was a small gesture from them, it was 5 minutes from them, but I witnessed 11, 12-year-old boys just giving their absolute all because they wanted to play well in front of the older boys that they looked up to. And I suppose what I love about sport is never underestimate the impact you can have on other people, and that had huge impact on other people. They didn't have to do that. It just shows they parked their ego, they didn't think it was all about them, and they gave back, and I thought I was really, really impressed by that.
I think that's a testimony really to the programme that the sports team are putting in place with the leaders that they're developing, the leadership sports programme. So that also happened in the hockey world, for example,
Yeah.
and we're lucky to have Miss Lavington now join us, and I know Miss Lavington's a little hit, like she is the ultimate role model for those little ones down in Norway, and they all look up to her because the amount of time that the hockey girls also spent working on that with them. So, and I think you're right, it brings that and fosters that environment, doesn't it, where hopefully we're creating those leaders of tomorrow right all the way down in the smallest parts of our school. So good stuff. Thanks, Reece.
So I think we'd all like to hear a personal anecdote or memory from your own experiences within sport, perhaps one that had a lasting impact on your character or values.
I find that slightly hard to answer really. I've got so many sporting memories. Some, and the people here might relate to this, some really happy, some quite painful. I played a lot of tennis. Tennis is a lonely game, and I played I got to the kind of final of the county championships. I was a set up 5-love up and lost. I was about 13, 14 years old. I can see you even talking about it, it kind of makes me sweat still. It was just a classic, awful, choking moment that, tennis is a brilliant game for developing mental toughness. I think other sports like golf and individual sports, I think that's true too. So that was a negative experience, but I think it just toughened me up. The other kind of memory I've got is that kind of honest self-assessment I remember doing when I wanted to be really good at sport. I was pretty good at sport, but I realised there were people bigger, stronger, better than me. And I remember making a conscious decision. I said, well, I can't do anything about that, but I'm going to be fitter than everyone else. And quite a bit of my kind of sporting success, I was reasonably successful. That's how I did it. I was definitely a grafter. So, if I did a bleep test with the rugby boys, I'd really work hard and try and win it. I was in the cross-country team, not because I love cross-country, but I just was really committed to being as fit as I could be. And it's probably what led to me ending up joining the Marines at a later life. I kind of fell in love with being fit. But it's that ability to self-reflect and think, okay, well, I can't do that. Well, I'll park that. There's nothing I can do about that. I was never going to be 6'8" Harlem Globetrotter basketball player. But I tell you what, I can be fit. And I think that is another thing that sport can develop in people. And it was that kind of mindset, I think, that stayed with me professionally too. Okay, there's cleverer people than me, people that will interview better than me, but I'll outwork anybody. And certainly I've tried to do that. So that's another kind of memory or a reflection on what sport has done for me.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, just to round off from me, and sorry to put you on the spot here, Do you have a standout sporting memory from Christ College over the past 5 years?
Again, God, there's been a lot. I must start by saying, it's one of the best and most enjoyable bits of my job is to wander around and watch. Nothing makes my heart sing more than seeing hundreds of kids playing sport for their school, boys and girls. I can stand in and around the pavilion, turn 360 degrees, and all I'm seeing is boys and girls charging around having a whale of a time. It makes my heart sing. Favourite, I probably have to go down to, as I've said previously, I used to work at Milford, and just to say a little bit about Milford School, it's a school of 1,300 kids. They are very, very wealthy. They've got a real swagger and arrogance about them, Milford. They win a lot. And one of the sports they're particularly good at is rugby sevens. They are probably deemed to be, year on year, one of the best teams across the country. When we beat them at sevens, that was a proper fist pump moment for me. So yeah, that was probably, if I had to pick one highlight, I'll say beating Milford at sevens in our tournament. That was good.
Good choice, Mr. Pearson, good choice. So highlights, and it's been a great summer. Lots of great news coming back. I'm going to kind of just give you a quick roundup. I'm going to probably lean on one of our members to talk about his summer in a moment, because he had a great summer on the track. But just a very quick roundup from me. Tilly Corbett, congratulations Tilly, she's made it through to the next round of the national age grade hockey, and fingers crossed, I think she's due an email today to see whether or not she's made it into the under-18s Welsh hockey squad. Now Tilly's in year 11, so that would be 2 years early for her as well, which would be great. Very quick roundup for the rugby and South Powys. So Finn Horton, Jason Lee, Ollie Davis, Will Thomas, Sam Swales, Tom Scott Lowe and Archie Lavington. They're all involved and played last Friday and 2 Fridays ago as well for South Powys. Big shout out for Finn. I think he scored that try. I've got to mention Eliza Hallett. She's been doing some fantastic equestrian competitions over the summer. That culminating in a big competition that she did just yesterday. So I'm anxious actually to find out how she did in that. And then Cian Epstein, brilliant Cian, fantastic sailing for Britain, British sailing team in the World Championships this year. That's definitely notable, and I think we should all give Cian a big pat on the back if we see him walking around school. And last but not least, I'm going to throw it over to Jack to talk about his summer. Sorry to put you on the spot, Jack, but I'm always impressed with your achievements, and I'd love to hear what you've been up to this summer.
Thank you, sir. It's been a good summer, on the athletics track. I suppose the highlight, retaining my Welsh title, that was quite a good moment, and that earned me my 4th Welsh vest. So it was an honour to put on the Welsh vest once again and compete on that British stage. So that was really good. And then I suppose rounding off the summer, starting the winter, pulling back on the blue CCB vest on Thursday. Can't wait for that one. Defending the home turf.
Can't wait for it,
Cameron Watts, the rugby boys are going to be out there.
They'll all be there.
They're going to be doing their fitness, maximising it.
They'll all be there. I can't wait for that. You've got to talk to me about your PB as well. You've left that out. PB summer?
I ran at 1:53 for 800 metres. That was a nice little milestone to tick off. But I think I've still got work to do and time in there. So looking ahead to the winter indoor season, 1:52 I think is on the cards. So
nice.
I'll check back in.
Just to put it in perspective, 1:53 is absolutely rapid to run 800 metres. So your second lap of your 800 metres is my fastest 400 metres, Jack.
Well, that
absolutely broke my heart when I received that email over the summer.
Yeah, that was World Champs. It was an interesting race. I'm the first year of a 3-year age category, so there were some older boys in there. But I backed myself, and the first lap it went off very slow. We went through in 69.
That's incredibly slow.
That is slow.
You might as well just holding hands jogging round.
We were pretty much were. And then with 300 to go, I went for it and held on pretty much. So, it was a good slow first lap, fast second lap, but it was a good experience.
Don't get many races like that though.
No, not very often. But I think I said to you a few months ago. So we saw the World Champs this year. A lot of the middle distance races actually are run quite slowly. Not a 69 first lap. They'll do a 55 and it'll be slow. But there's certainly a tactical element to the middle distance races.
It's interesting, isn't it? It's not just now. There's tactics involved. And that then informs your training as well.
Well, it does. You've got to be quick at the end.
Yeah, got that sprint finish.
That sprint finish, yeah.
Well done. We look forward to
Thanks,
hearing
sir.
a lot more. And yeah, the cross-country season is the highlight of the year. Can't wait. Ollie's bouncing to get out there and get that vest on again. Yeah,
Can't
which
wait.
is special. Cross-country Christ College is special. It is, doing as many as you possibly can. There are some people that have not missed one cross-country, possibly throughout their time, Ben.
Yeah.
So, you're going to be carry on doing them. And it's kind of a really kind of cohesive team building experience here. Brilliant. Right, bringing us on to our last but one segment. Each week we're going to talk about a iconic moment in sport. And last year we did the top 10 sportsmen and women of all time. And this year we're going to look at the top 10 most iconic sporting moments. And we're going to dive back through history and we're going to start to look at what those moments might have been. And some of these moments you guys wouldn't have been around for. Funny enough, I wasn't around for this first moment either, which must have happened quite a long time ago. Mr. Pearson, you probably were around for that one, so we might ask you if you remember it. But hey, we're going to talk about the first one, so the number 10 on our top 10 countdown of greatest moments or iconic moments in sporting history. I'm going to throw it over now to Jack to introduce this for us.
So thanks, sir. Our 10th most iconic sporting moment takes us back to the 1980 Summer Olympics, a time when sport and politics really did collide on the world stage. So it was a time of intense global tension between the USA and the Soviet Union, and that led to the United States boycotting the Games in protest of Russia's invasion of Afghanistan. Amidst all this, one athlete stood out. That was Mary Decker, a middle distance runner from the USA, who defied the boycott to compete in the 800 metres. So, like I said, I'm an 800 metre runner myself. This is a really important event in our sporting history to look back on. So Mark, would you like to tell us a bit more about the race?
Yeah, so the race was watched by millions worldwide and it was filled with drama. In the final lap, Mary Decker accidentally collided with Soviet athletes Nadezhda Elizaryenko, sending both athletes tumbling to the ground. Mary Decker couldn't finish the race, but what makes this moment iconic is the remarkable display of sportsmanship that followed. Mary Decker helped Elizaryenko to her feet, and the two athletes finished the race together, hand in hand, to a standing ovation from the crowd. This moment symbolised the unifying power of sports and transcended political tensions, reminding us of the true spirit of competition and camaraderie.
Yeah, great. I think that's a really nice one to start off with, isn't it? And it's that spirit of kind of sportsmanship, camaraderie, which really does show that sports transcends that, doesn't it? And we can bring people together and have that really kind of united front. It's a really good one to start us off, and thanks for introducing that one to us, lads. Right, last segment, which I'm really looking forward to each week, is the shockers and the rockers. Who's had a shocker in sport over the last couple of weeks, and who has had an absolute rocker? Ben?
Well, I like to think at the minute that Wales are on a bit of a rocker, especially in the Welsh, in the Rugby World Cup at the minute.
Yeah.
They're just smashing it at all turns, and it's just the nation. We expected it, but deep down, maybe.
Let's not jump too soon, though. Let's keep.
There's a bit of doubt sometimes, but they've nailed it.
They have, haven't they? They played really well yesterday against Australia.
Yeah.
And it was a really standout. I think they've had two of the best games of the tournament.
Yeah, speaking of Australia, I think Eddie Jones is having an absolute shocker. I think I've seen Australia perform this badly for years and years. But I don't know. I don't really know. There's been a lot of talk about Eddie Jones getting the boot, but I really don't know.
He stuck his neck out of the week as well, didn't he? He said that we will 100% win this game on Sunday. And I know you're going to back your team and publicly back your team, but he did it in a way slightly different to how Warren Gatland did it. Warren Gatland said exactly the same thing, but he said it a little bit more with a bit more humility, whereas Eddie Jones was a bit more kind of out there, and he said, "Yeah, we're definitely going to win." And unfortunately, when you make those claims and they don't happen, they often come back to bite you in the back. So yeah, he's definitely had a bit of a shocker, and I'm not sure if he'll see out his contract with Australia, but who knows? Anyone want to shout out for the kind of, I call them the second tier nations, because I don't want them to be second tier nations, but in the Rugby World Cup, any shout outs for any of the teams there? Reece?
Yeah, Fiji, obviously. I think it's quite disrespectful to regard Fiji as a tier 2 nation, seeing as they've, beaten Australia, beaten England, two massive performances from them. you know, and it's seen them moving to the top 10 world rugby teams in. Like
They've got a shout out. You know, this World Cup, they're on the right side of the draw. They could make a semi-final, and that would really open up. You know, blow open massively the kind of the importance that Fiji have had. Ben,
I think Uruguay as well have also been just amazing, not only to watch on the pitch but to watch off the pitch. You know, the way that they are with each other, the way that their fans are just so dedicated to come and see them play. I don't know if anyone saw the clip of the Uruguayan captain coming off the pitch and being met with embrace after just being beaten in one of probably their most important games of the competition. But it just shows how much sport unites people and also like countries.
Yeah, I'm with the Uruguay as well. As with the Italy game, how they went 17-0 up, I think, in the first half. So I think it really shows like how much. I didn't even know that Uruguay had a rugby team before the World Cup. So
I love the little clip actually I saw of the captain afterwards as well. He stormed into the press conference and he still had his tape around his head and he was bleeding from his head. And his first comment was to the press in front. He said, "Oh, you can tell we've just had a really good game because there weren't as many of you here for when I was announcing the team." You think he was speaking to maybe one or two of the press, and then obviously they've had an amazing game. I think it might have been against Italy, and then the press room was full to the brim to talk to. They all wanted to speak to him because even though they lost, they had that really kind of powerful moment in sport where I think they won the crowd around and everyone wanted them to succeed. So yeah, I'd agree with that. Any other shockers? Oh, I've got to mention this one. The Luis Rubiales, the Spanish kind of representative for Spain. He's had a shocker. I called it the kind of Spanish kiss, but it was terrible. Mark?
So he was the chair of the Spanish FA, and it was an unconsensual kiss in front of millions, hundreds of millions worldwide.
We're not downplaying this. It was just when
no, of course,
Spain had won their first World Cup.
So it took away the attention from the World Cup and it caused shockwaves worldwide. And it's since led to an overhaul in the Spanish FA and Rubiales to lose his job. So for me, I think that's an early shocker of the year.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Thanks, Mark. Right, I've got to mention one more. I think Chelsea have had an absolute shocker over the last couple of months. They spent £1 billion on signings, and they are nowhere near where I think their fans and just people who love football would expect them to be. What do you think?
I think we're talking in a different type of spending when one club is being compared to leagues. You know, La Liga, up there, the Saudi Arabian League has been criticised, ruining football, buying all these players in. Chelsea aren't far from what they spend at all. And I think, as well, to get no outcomes really, 5 points from 6 games, is it? To get that out of how much they spent, it seems just like a massive waste and a massive mistake.
I bet you're loving that as an Arsenal
Absolutely.
fan as well.
I'm saying it with a straight face, but I'm loving life.
There was a stat, I think it was Domino's, they tweeted that since Chelsea last scored a goal, there have been 800,000 pizzas delivered. Something like that.
After spending £1 billion, you'd expect them to be able to score a few goals, wouldn't you? Right. Lastly, Newcastle, they had an absolute rocker yesterday, 8-0 against Sheffield United. That's pretty decent. And that therefore means that Sheffield United, definite shocker.
That's the first time they've scored 8 since 1999.
Ooh, good fact. I like facts.
I think what makes it even more impressive is that they had 8 different goal scorers. So for 8 different players in an 11-man team to score a goal against one team is just...
Yeah,
it's more embarrassing.
It's a shocker for Sheffield.
Yeah, absolutely. But also it's great for Newcastle because if they think they got goals from anywhere on that pitch, it's brilliant. Right, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us for the first episode of this year. Mr. Pearson, thank you very much for giving up the time. I know you're very busy, so pleasure to have you. And maybe we'll have you back a bit later on in the year, possibly. Lads, I'm going to enjoy working with you, I think, and thanks so much for joining us today. And we look forward to next Monday already. Thank you.